quite warm welcome to this special edition, the Question Hour show from the Parliament House complex, the only show where we bring you important unstarred or written questions asked by the members of the upper house during the ongoing 251st session of the Rajya Sabha and the response given by the government. I'm Kriti Mishra and joining me is my colleague Rajat Kain.
Thanks Kriti, and thanks to our viewers for watching this edition of Question Hour. So let's begin with the show.
And the first question in this edition is from member Kanta Kardam, and this question pertains to the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas. And Mrs. Kardam has asked the government about the number of LPG connections issued to domestic consumers both in the urban as well as rural areas.
Well, the reply, the ministry said that oil marketing companies have reported that there is no separate flagging of rural or urban customers in the software. However, on the basis of the types of distributorship, the oil marketing companies, after carrying out deduplication process, have released 4.17 crore and 7.96 crore new LPG connections respectively in the urban and the rural areas in last 3 years and the current year. Union territory wise details have also been enclosed in the reply. Carrying on further in the reply, the government said release of LPG connection is a continuous process and LPG distributors are under instructions to immediately register any request for new LPG connection, and the companies endeavour to release the same within 7 working days as per eligibility and after following due process. In case of non-compliance, action is taken against distributor under provisions of marketing discipline guidelines.
In fact, member Kanta Kardam joined us on the Question Hour show, and this is what she had to say on government's response to her question. Listen in.
मैम, वेलकम टू राज्य सभा टेलीविजन। आपने बेहद ही महत्वपूर्ण सवाल पूछा है कि किस तरह से नए एलपीजी कनेक्शंस दिए गए हैं लोगों को, कितना महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दा है और कितनी संतुष्ट हैं आप सरकार के जवाब से?
देखिए, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दा है ये, और ख़ासकर उन महिलाओं के लिए, उन परिवारों के लिए जो गैस कनेक्शन नहीं ले सकते थे, उनके लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। कहने को है कि भाई छोटे अमाउंट का, लेकिन उनके लिए बहुत अमाउंट का, कि वो नहीं सोच सकते हैं, क्योंकि ये कनेक्शन गैस देने का भी यही लक्ष्य था कि जिनके घरों में गैस कनेक्शन नहीं है उनको कितनी दिक्कतें होती है, जो लकड़ी से या ईंधन से जो निकलने वाला धुआं है वो कितना नुकसान देता है उसमें। तो इस तरह से कई बीमारियों का शिकार भी महिलाएं हो जाती हैं। ज़्यादातर आप देखते हैं कि महिलाएं चूल्हे पर खाना बनाती हैं, पूरा परिवार भी बैठा वहाँ रहता है, तो महिला ही नहीं, खाना बनाने वाली ही नहीं, परिवार के और भी सदस्यों को बहुत ज़्यादा फ़र्क पड़ता है इस चीज़ से। तो कई बीमारियों का शिकार होती हैं। फेफड़े की बीमारी है, टीबी की बीमारी है, आँखों की बीमारी है। कई देखते होंगे पुराने ज़माने में कि रोशनी चली गई है, आँखों की ज़्यादातर महिलाओं को शिकायत होती थी, तो धुआं के कारण होती थी। तो इसका लाभ जो बहुत मिल रहा है परिवारों में, महिलाओं को बहुत मिल रहा है। एक तो समय की बचत, कि जैसे लड़कियां हैं अपनी हैं जो शिक्षा लेना चाहती हैं, जो पढ़ना चाहती हैं, और जो महिलाएं हैं कि हमारा जो काम काजी महिला हैं उनके लिए बचत। और अब तक उज्ज्वला से जो है लाभ बहुत परिवारों को मिला है। 8 करोड़ कनेक्शन जो है पूरे देश भर में लाभार्थी हुए हैं। 8 करोड़ कनेक्शन अभी तक दिए गए हैं। जैसे कि मैं उत्तर प्रदेश से आती हूँ, तो उत्तर प्रदेश में 1 करोड़ के आसपास के कनेक्शन वहाँ दिए गए हैं। लेकिन मैं आपको बता दूँ, क्योंकि मैं उज्ज्वला से जुड़ी हुई रही हूँ, तो मैं उज्ज्वला मिशन में मैं जुड़कर रही हूँ, मैं उसकी हेड भी रही हूँ, और भी मेरे साथ में मेरी बहनें सहयोगी रही। तो जब हमें बताया गया कि ऐसे से आप लोगों को जो है ये काम करना है, और जो गरीब परिवार की महिला हैं ऐसे सर्वे करके और जो सूची दी जाएगी, और जो एजेंसी वाले हैं उनसे भी सूची लेके एलपीजी और जो कनेक्शन हैं वो क्या नाम है, गरीबी रेखा से नीचे के जो हैं वहाँ पर उनको ही हम देंगे, जो गरीब लोग हैं। और सबसे बड़ी चिंता है जो दलित परिवार के लोगों की भी चिंता कर रही है पार्टी ने, तो वहाँ पर भी हम लोग जो है सभी इकट्ठा होकर हम लोग जो जाते थे, और हमने देखा कि जब वो हमने पंचायत लगाई, हम पहले की पंचायत के लिए कहा कि कैसे करना है, तो हमने एनजीओ को भी सिलेक्ट किया और हमने खुद भी पंचायतें वहाँ लगाई। मैं खुद भी गई, मैंने पहली पंचायत लखनऊ में लगाई, वहाँ पर है। तो मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा, बहुत परिवार की आई। और जो मैंने उनसे पूछा कि जब उन्हें गैस कनेक्शन मैंने उनको दिया, जैसे इनाम बोला, तो मैंने कहा आपको कैसा लग रहा है, कैसा लग रहा है? बहुत अच्छा लग रहा, हम सोच भी नहीं सकते थे गैस कनेक्शन लेने का।
And those were important points that you were making. Thank you so much for talking to Rajya Sabha Television.
Moving on, next question was asked by member A. Mohammed Jan from Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and the member asked whether it's a fact that government is considering a common final year MBBS exam known as NEXT, that is National Exit Test, for admission to postgraduate medical courses.
Well, in the response, the government says that the National Medical Commission Act 2019 has following provisions related to the National Exit Test. Section 15 of the NMC Act 2019 states that a common final year undergraduate medical examination to be known as the National Exit Test shall be held for granting license to practice medicine as medical practitioners and for enrollment in the state register or the national register as the case may be. The next point is that the Commission shall conduct the National Exit Test through such designated authority and in such a manner which may be specified by the rules and the regulations. The National Exit Test shall become operational on such date within 3 years from the date of commencement of this Act and as may be appointed by the central government by a notification. The government further says that any person with a foreign medical qualification shall have to qualify National Exit Test for the purpose of obtaining license to practice medicine as a medical practitioner in India and for enrollment in the state register or the national register as the case may be in such a manner as may be prescribed by the rules and the regulations. The National Exit Test shall be the basis for admission to the postgraduate board facility medical education in medical institutions which are governed under the provisions of this Act or under any other law for the time being in force and shall be done in such a manner as may be specified by the rules and the regulations. The Commission shall specify by the regulations the manner of conducting common counselling by the designated authority for admission to the postgraduate board specialty seats in the medical institutions referred in subsection 5 of the National Medical Commission Act. Let's move on to the next question that has been asked by member Kain, and this question pertains to the Ministry of Ayurveda, Yoga, Naturopathy, Unani, Siddha and Homeopathy. And the member has asked the government whether it is a fact that 12,000 Ayush Centers are proposed to be set up across the country.
Well, in the reply, the ministries answered in affirmative, saying that 12,500 Ayush Health and Wellness Centers are proposed to be established by upgradation of existing state government Ayush dispensaries and sub-health centers by the year 2023 and 24. A total of 1,037 Ayush Health and Wellness Centers are approved in the year 2019-20 under the existing provisions of centrally sponsored scheme of National Ayush Mission, and rupees 90.2 crore have been released to the state and union territories till date. Well, moving on to next question asked by the member Shanta Chetri from Ministry of Corporate Affairs. She asked whether ministry is decriminalizing penalties for corporate law breaches.
Well, the government has given a detailed reply to the question asked by member Chetri, and the government goes on to say that through the Companies Amendment Act 2019, changes were made in the Companies Act 2013 to convert 16 criminal offences into civil wrongs. In continuation of the government's endeavour in similar directions, a company law committee was constituted by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs in September 2019 to further decriminalise the provisions of the Companies Act 2013 based on their gravity and to take other measures to provide further ease of living for corporates in the country and also ensuring ease of doing business in India. The committee has recommended amendments in the Companies Act 2013 to remove criminality in the case of procedural and technical defaults as well as defaults which can be determined objectively and which otherwise lack the element of fraud or do not involve larger public interest. The amendments seek to provide alternative methods in sanctions in some of the cases. The government further says that the committee has recommended amendments in 43 penal provisions of the Companies Act 2013, and this is under recategorizing 23 offences out of 66 remaining compoundable offence under the Act to be dealt with in-house adjudication framework, wherein these defaults would be subject to a penalty levied by the adjudicating officer. In addition, the quantum of penalties recommended are lower than the quantum of fines presently provided in the Act. Omitting altogether 7 compoundable offences, limiting punishment for 11 compoundable offences to only 5 by removing provisions for imprisonment and recommending that 5 offences can be dealt under alternative frameworks. All these measures have been taken to ensure ease of doing business in India. And now let's move on to the last question of this edition of Question Hour, and this question pertains to the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and has been asked by member KJ Alphonse. And Mr. Alphonse has asked the government whether it is a fact that investment in the renewable energy space sector is slowing in India.
Well, in the elaborate reply, the ministry said the renewable energy capacity commissioned in 2018-19 was 8,532.22 megawatts. Now, in the year 2019-20 up till December 2019, renewable energy capacity of 7,591.99 megawatts has been commissioned, and renewable energy capacity of 34,160 megawatt is under various stages of implementation. It is expected that renewable energy capacity addition in the year 2019-20 will exceed the capacity addition achieved in the year 2018-19. Most of the grid connection renewable energy projects in the country are being implemented by private sector developers selected through a transparent competitive bidding process. Now, capital investment made by these developers is their privileged information. However, based on standard capital costs per megawatt, an investment of rupees 40,459.99 crore is estimated to have been made in renewable energy sector in the year 2018 and 19. An investment of rupees 36,729.49 crore is estimated to have been made in the year 2019-20 up to December 2019. Now, steps taken by the government to boost investment in renewable energy sector in the country inter alia include permitting FDI up to 100%, the automatic route, strengthening power purchase agreements, maintaining requirements of the letter of credit as payment security mechanism by distribution licensees for ensuring timely payments to RE generators, setting up of ultra mega renewable energy parks to provide land and transmission on plugs and play basis to investors, waive off interstate transmission systems, charges and losses for interstate sale of solar and wind power for projects to be commissioned by 31st December 2022, notification of standard bidding guidelines to enable distribution licenses to procure solar and wind power at competitive rates in cost-effective manner, declaration of trajectory for renewable purchase obligations up to the year 2022, laying of transmission lines under Green Energy Corridor scheme for evacuation of power in renewable rich states. So this was a elaborate reply of Ministry of New and Renewable Energy to the question.
Well, Rajat, that's all we had for our viewers in this edition of Question Hour. But on the other side, we'll have Hindi edition of Question Hour, which is Prashnikal, with our colleagues Arvind Singh and Kriti Singh. Please stay with Rajya Sabha Television.